Right, we're here for our third and final feature match of this evening for week two. We got Tony here, who's coming back to us from the feature match. He was in the feature match last week and he won. It was unfortunately it was a very one-sided affair, but he was the one who won, so he's looking to repeat on that. We have Chris H on the other side, and Dan's going to be telling us about what's in his hand.
Yeah, it looks like Chris is black whites, and he's got a turn 4 play at the earliest. Oh, actually, it looks like he could do the prototype of Steel Seraph, which it looks like he might be doing right here.
Yeah, I imagine if he has nothing else, he's just going to run it out. And unless Tony draws a removal, this thing's going to stick around for a nice little while here, giving him probably lifelink here.
Yeah, it's a brutal card.
Yeah, so Tony's got a decent run out here, but none of it interacts favorably with a 3/3 flyer that grants extra abilities. He played the Burnish Heart here. He has a Scrapwork Rager, a Moment of Defiance, a Psychosis Crawler, which is one you don't see every day, and a couple lands. So he got a decent run out of creatures, but if he doesn't find a removal, he's gonna fall behind quite fast on life to this little angel here that's played as a
Does
prototype.
uh, does Why not have anything in his hand that's exciting to ramp into with this Burnish Heart inclusion?
Not quite. Like, he has the Scrapwork Rager, a Psychosis Crawler. So he's drawn a Soul Partition, which is kind of like a weird bounce spell that makes it cost two more. It exiles it,
Yeah.
and then the owner can cast it for two more. But that's not really solving the problem. Like,
Face Mirror picked up a piece of protection in Lauren's escape just now.
oh, okay. So that's going to make it even tougher on Tony here. Yeah, so Steel Seraph, if you can pay white, it becomes extremely flexible. But I think in a deck with no white mana, you still play that card every time. So it
For
just
sure.
it just goes into that realm of
Good
it just
colorless
goes into that
stuff.
realm of those colorless cards that you're just going to put in every deck. So he's decided to leave this back to block, being that he has protection here. So
Okay.
what else does Chris have in his hand here?
So other than we actually do see a blue island that he picked up, or I
Okay.
mean an island, but the other two spells we have are the 5 mana reanimation spell that is three. It's no one left behind. It
Yeah.
costs three less if it's costs something cheaper, and then he's got an overwhelming remorse as well.
All right. So
And with
this
this one, we're looking at a Harbin, the 3/2 flyer
okay.
for
So
two.
that must be on a splash.
Yeah, looks like he's gonna
Yeah,
play it right
so
away.
if Tony read him for a removal spell, I think trading his random Phalanx Vanguard for a protection spell, I think he would be pretty happy with that. The thing is, he does
Yeah,
not actually have a removal in his hand. So, I mean, he got the protection spell out of hand, but he doesn't, out of the hand, but he doesn't actually have a real answer yet.
it's
But
interesting he went for vigilance there instead of lifelink. I guess he still wants to hold it back to block.
yeah, like I've been saying for the past few sets, like, since I've been playing Magic, if somebody asked me like what's the best evergreen ability that like creatures get every set, I would just like say flying, right? But I think
Yeah.
Lifelink has actually surpassed it as like maybe like the
Oh, lifelink
best
is so
evergreen
good.
mechanic. It's like, if your opponent plays like an early flyer, like a 3 mana 2/2 flyer, you're like, okay, whatever. If like when my opponent plays a 2 mana 2/2 lifelink and I don't have something to block it,
It
like
just feels miserable.
I'm
Yeah.
just like, wow, they're at 26 life all of a sudden. I have to deal 6 extra damage. And yeah, and whenever you could put lifelink on like a creature of like 3 power or more, like even if it's like for one turn, and like this angel's repeatable. But
Yeah.
even if you could
I
put
mean,
it
that's
on like, on a 5 power creature just once at any point in the game,
it's
you
a 10
just,
point life swing. That's
yeah,
crazy.
it's
Yeah.
huge. Yeah. Like, it could be a hot take, but I think lifelink might just be better than flying, honestly, for limited nowadays, as far as like the
Yeah.
impact on the
I'd take
game.
lifelink above anything else for sure.
Yeah. Once in a while, your opponent plays a 3 power flyer, early-ish in the game, and you just lose because you don't have anything. But um, like a lifelink creature, its effects roll on even after you killed it, right? Like they got a life buffer, and they have to deal extra damage to them. So even after you
So
kill it, it still had value. All right, so we see Harbin here trading off with
not
a
the
Psychosis Crawler.
craziest block since it did make his overwhelming remorse castable, but it doesn't look like he's priced into cast here either.
Yeah,
Looks
not
like he's like
much.
hovering over that my turn button.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
not much worth killing here. Um, So Tony's 1 mana away
Oh, but
from
he also had,
casting.
yeah, he had
Yeah.
he had the red spell. I'm just realizing, which is another reason why he probably traded there.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. Yeah, so Tony's 1 mana away from casting his Boulder Branch Golem, which I don't know if he has green mana, but he's just 1 mana away from casting it as as the full 6/5. So he is going to send this thing into exile and make it cost
Oh,
just 4.
interesting. Does this mean that he can now cast it for the more expensive version as
I
well,
imagine he could cast it for 8 if he wanted to.
if he wanted to? Yeah,
Yeah, or he could cast the prototype for 5 or the full bodied one for 8. Like I
I think
said,
he's going
Tony
to
has
elect.
not found a removal here. So here comes his 3/2 flyer back, but we'll see what he wants to do with the flyer.
Looks like he's going to hold up for remorse.
So Tony has drawn a mythic from Amonkhet, which is the Angel of Sanctions.
Oh
So
gosh,
it's
that's a strong card.
yeah, so it exiles a non-land permanent until it leaves, and then you can embalm it after it dies. So he hasn't drawn a second plains yet. He has drawn a sixth swamp, but he can now crack his Burnished Heart to go get another white.
Yeah, I imagine he'll
So
threaten the crack it if he blocks it, but I can't see Facebeard blocking. Oh, interesting attack. Okay.
yeah, he doesn't care about this Rager living or dying. So he's going to send it in there.
I guess he values his 2/1 more as well.
Yeah, I mean, he could have attacked with the recruitment officer, but I think he sees it as potential mana sink.
Yeah, he also doesn't know that his opponent is flooding out pretty difficultly.
Yeah, but now he gets to cast the full version of this Seraph, which is going to go under the Angel of Sanctions next turn. So does Chris have a way to deal with this Angel of Sanctions?
Yeah, he's got the one copy of Overwhelming Remorse
Okay,
that he's been very patient with.
right, so he does have the Overwhelming Remorse, and that's going to cleanly answer the Angel because I won't be able to embalm there.
Yeah, it's going to be very rough for Why Not.
Yeah, so it looks like Tony is just a 2-color deck because I didn't see any other color of mana for he didn't go get anything else. So looks like he's just on 2 colors, which I found also in this league that players have gone into 2 colors faster than in previous leagues just because you have so many colorless cards.
So many, yeah.
Because like normally in the leagues past, like if you want to go 2-color in week 1 or 2, you are playing some very bad cards in order to make that, to make it work, in order to get
Yeah.
playables. Like sometimes I just play like 27 lands or something if I want to go 2 colors because it's like I'd rather play a land than like a completely terrible card. But in this league with all the colorless cards, you know, I was down to two
Yeah.
colors after I think 1 loss.
There isn't a lot of stretching people need to make to play these powerful cards when they're just being given to them,
Yeah.
colorlessly.
Right, so Angel comes back, and now with 8 power flying, this
Yeah,
game
this
is
is
gonna this game is gonna not be that good here. So he's drawn a No One Left Behind, the reanimation spell. That's not gonna accomplish much. He's gonna gain 6 life here, so he's not gonna die immediately. But if he gives his 5/4 vigilance, there's just no attacks he can make. So he's gonna throw away his
Ooh.
Ragers here. He's gonna throw away one of his Ragers. He needs to draw more cards. I mean, he has all the mana in the world, so
Yeah, I also just like that attack from like a bluffing standpoint because like Facebeard really doesn't want to lose the Seraph, so I wouldn't even been surprised if he didn't block there at all.
yeah. So he could have used the No One Left Behind on a cheap creature, but I don't think there's much value in that. I think I
He's
think he'd
pretty much
rather
locked up here.
I think he'd rather use it on the golem if it dies, so he can gain 6 more life.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's
Facebeard
a
also just picked up
cavalry.
his Swift boots, which he's gonna
That's
make make it very difficult for him to get rid of this angel.
yeah.
Oh, he's just
He,
gonna
he
push
could also just
damage.
put
I
on the
like that
flyer
too.
and swing for
Yeah,
almost lethal. Swing for 12 here out
he's
of nowhere and gain himself 5 life. So yeah,
very
this is going to be
rough.
a difficult one to pull out of. A swamp will not do it. He can unearth his Rager here, but unless there's a board wipe uh, as the top card of his deck, no one card will be enough here. Yeah, so he's drawn Ramos to Dragon Engine, but 1 blocker is certainly not going to be enough. And on the back of these, on the back of some bomb rares,
Very
yeah,
brutal flyers.
yeah. I mean, I've seen more games decided by bomb rares early in this league than I have in other leagues. Just because, like I was mentioning, everybody has like so many of these cards, just because
I'm
of all these
curious
factors. Yeah, so he's
from your
gonna.
experience more than like something like Vow, because it's been felt like a very bomb heavy set.
Well, that was just the rares were just so uncontrollably, stupidly strong, especially things that cost
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 mana that won the game almost immediately if they weren't answered, like Wedding Announcement, Helena, Elena, plus like those, the egregious 7-drop ones too, the Demon and the Hullbreaker.
Yeah.
But here it's just like I was mentioning earlier. You have first of all colorless rares that go in every deck. You have retro artifacts where the good ones go in every deck, and you're opening 2 packs. You're seeing 2 packs instead of one, so you're likely to get a rare that is going to be in your deck. That's that is often going to drive your choice of which pack you take. So you're just seeing so many more rares. So in VOW, the rares were more powerful, but just like the number of them in each
That's
deck
concentrated.
wasn't
Yeah.
that much different than any other set.
Anything exciting that you saw on the sideboard from Why Not?
Yeah, so he's looking here. Um, there's a couple cards that he could be playing, like Dreams of Steel and Oil just seems good, especially in such a bomb heavy format. But that card just
Hmm.
seems like I'm in decking one here in my deck. So um, he has some fun cards here. He has a Precursor Golem, a Helm of the Host. No surprise. Everybody who has those cards just plays them. So he does actually have a board wipe in his deck. So if he drew it, I think that's why he just was just seeing as many cards as he could there. He has the Urza Silex. So actually does have an answer to a board like that.
In his main board.
Yep, his main board he
Yeah.
has playing. Yeah, I think Urza Silex is just a good main deckable card.
Oh, for sure. I have two in my own. I
So
mean,
looks
I
like
also have a
looks like he's
planeswalker,
thinking of citing in the Trial of Ambition as well, which is just
remind me.
it's an edict. It's a 1 mana, 1 and a black enchantment. When it comes in, a target opponent
Sacrifice.
sacrifices a creature, uh,
Yeah, yeah.
and then if you play a cartouche, you get to return the trial to your hand. So that's not happening, but it's just an edict. It's a sorcery
This
speed.
perfectly fine card for two mana.
Yeah,
Yeah.
another card I would have my eye on here is the card Unburden. So it's a 1 black. It's a mind rot, but it has cycling. Yeah, I think in sealed, especially with this many bombs, just like your opponent discarding 2 cards is just going to be good for you.
Oh, I'd value discard effects more highly in this
Yeah,
sort of
yeah.
format for
Like
sure.
there isn't actually like a mind rot effect in Brothers War. So
No, we just have the one discard. So it looks like a really good starting hand here. We have one of each land color, and then curate on two, and then elites. I mean, he can't play elite on three, but he's got
yeah.
that, an emergency weld, and a rager.
So if he's playing Curate, that would lead me more to believe that there's not so much a splash of blue as just playing 3 colors.
Yeah, I would have a hard time splashing a card like curate.
Okay. Yeah, so Tony did have to mulligan here. He put I believe it was a swamp to the bottom, and he has a Thraxidemon, a Burnished Heart, a Scrapwork Cohort, a Disenchant, and then he's just drawn 2 expensive spells with no lands to cast them. He's drawn a Helm of the Host and a Trench Stalker. So
Got to
um,
rely on that heart.
yeah, that heart is gonna make or break his game here, and he's gonna be under some pressure here. So he's trying to Ichor Wellspring. Hopefully, maybe find him a land. Uh, so he's got the land here, so he's not going
Yeah,
to
great.
completely fall behind. And this Thraxidemon can at some point sack the Wellspring to basically draw 2.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Ichor Wellspring has been a fun little card. Like, if you've ever cast a Power Stone Fracture, sacrificing your Ichor Wellspring, you feel pretty good about that.
You feel
Yeah.
you feel good for somebody who has put Power Stone Fracture in their deck. Oh no, no, I was thinking of the blue uncommon. No, Power Stone Fracture is the good
Oh,
one.
yeah, Power Stone Fracture is the removal spell
Yeah,
where you sacrifice an artifact or creature. Yeah, I think were you thinking of the blue
yeah, yeah. The
Forging the
uncommon.
Power Stones or something like that?
The turn a Power Stone into two Power
Sack
Stones.
an
Yeah.
artifact, make 2, Power Stones. Sure. Yeah, no, not that. Forging the Power Stone or something like that.
So we're stuck on lands here for Facebeard.
Yeah, but he's got the flyers here, and despite having 7 spells in hand, none of them are actually removals
Mm,
or flyers, so they're just a bunch of creatures. So he has a Trial of Ambition here. He can get rid of this Wing Commando,
okay.
and he can cast a Phalanx Vanguard. But he's at 12, and with no answer to flyers, just a bunch of ground creatures and expensive spells, 4s and
Yeah, and
5s.
unfortunately, Facebeard does have the emergency weld, so he can recur one of these flyers if he needs to.
Mm. Yeah. So I just got done saying I think Lifelink has been better than flying, but obviously here flying has been good, but Tony has no creatures to block, so now he's going to play a Vanguard here, but if Chris does end up welding back the 3/2 flyer, it's gonna make this
Oh
game
wow,
go. Okay,
he
so he's
likes
gone for a
to.
4/4
Yeah,
instead, which I would think you just want to keep the pressure on, right? Get back your flyer, play it, attack for 3, and then have your opponent's at 9, and you now have 5 power flying facing
yeah. This
down.
play does give Tony, or why not Rock, a bit more
Yeah,
breathing room.
yeah. So it's giving Tony a chance to maybe draw out of this, but he hasn't yet. He's drawn a Moment of Defiance, which can maybe buy him some life points somewhere along the line.
That's the 3 mana black spell.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
lifelink +2/+1. So here's a Swiftfoot Boots. Um, not that useful when Tony has no removal. So here it is. But it did deal an extra damage from the prowess trigger. Yeah. So what's your thoughts on a card like Swiftfoot Boots?
Uh,
Yeah.
I know that it performs pretty badly in draft, but then again, in an environment like this where we have so many bombs, like
Yeah.
it's hard to argue against it if you have a card like like the Seraph. I have the unicorn from Theros in my deck. I would run it in my deck just to give that
Right.
protection.
Yeah. I've had a Swiftfoot Boot since the beginning, and I've never really considered putting it in my deck. I just don't. I just don't know if giving the average creature in my deck hexproof and haste is going to be good enough a lot of the time.
Yeah, if I have like a strategy that revolves around keeping key
Yeah.
creatures alive, I could justify it. But yeah, it's pretty hard to just
Yeah,
include as
if
is.
anybody has played Commander, I think we just shortcut to this card's insanely strong,
Right, right.
but without looking at it in the realm of limited, it's like how many of your creatures are you happy to spend an entire card giving it
Yeah,
hexproof and haste? It's like
and
a very small amount usually, but the card does give haste and like these are relevant abilities. Like haste is extremely
true.
relevant. Hexproof also very very annoying.
Sometimes you just want a creature.
Like I was playing a draft and my opponent put that on. I think it's called Mirel's Shield of Argive, and I was like, oh, I'm never winning this game ever.
Oh gosh.
Like this game is done. It's turn
Yeah, I mean
five.
that's a case where that's miserable.
It's
Yeah.
it's turn 5, and they're attacking me with this, and yeah, that card looks like it's unbeatable. But I think it varies. I think there are decks that will warrant it, but I also think some people just have seen it be played in Commander, and are just maybe have it in their head that it's great.
I love that trick that Why Not did. I mean, just
Yep.
look at that life swing
Yeah,
total.
that was nice. Yeah, Trench Stalker has been a nice performer in draft at least, and it's not really just a blue black card. There is so much card draw, random card draw, like these artifacts that draw cards. These it goes well in any black deck almost.
Speaking of artifacts that draw cards, he just picked up a Mightstone Weakstone. Well, I imagine he's going to just
Well,
try
that's
to
a
get rid of
5 mana
them.
card that draws 2 cards. Those are aspects of a card I might like. Yeah,
Oh man,
I think he's gonna
yeah,
-5 the
for
four the
sure,
four or
for
five
sure.
here though. Whenever I cast that and kill a creature, somehow I feel bad because I didn't draw cards, but it's usually correct. Yeah,
So it
so
looks like Beard's maybe a little afraid of dying here in the crackback, but he's electing to
yeah,
swing
he's
all out.
he's taken away his source of life gain, which is going to make it really hard for Tony to
Mm.
to make it through the next attack by Chris.
Does Tony have any outs in his hand?
It's all just things that are not going to gain him life or stop
Yeah.
flyers. Disenchant, Scrapwork Cohort, Helm of the Host, Soul Guide
Uh,
Lantern, Psychosis Crawler. He has drawn an Angel of Sanctions here, so he can get rid of the Wing Commando.
okay.
So
There's no
that is a good
card
draw.
answer in his hand for it.
Okay, so yeah, so Chris is holding. What kind of stuff has he got there here?
So he's got a Scrapbook Voyager, a Diabolic Intent, so he could search for something, and then Drafna, the two
Oh,
mana artifact lord.
Drafna is has quite the suite of abilities there for a 2 mana
Which
card. The amount of things that it is able to do
it
is
can
staggering.
return Might and Weakstone, which is pretty
It could
pretty
even
fun.
it could even copy a Mightstone and Weakstone,
That's
but
right. That's right.
so you get 2 enter the battlefield triggers, but you'd only have it's legendary, so you'd only have 1 left. But you get to get the
Oh,
extra effect.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean it's still worth it if you have nothing else to do and you have enough mana. Yeah, Why not copy it?
Looks like he's electing to maybe go down that route, though he does
Okay.
only have the one blue currently.
Yeah, so he's casting the Draftna here. Yeah, see, yeah, that's sort of the thing when you're playing three colors. Like, it makes your stuff hard to use. Like, Harbin, white and a blue for a 3/2 flyer. When you have a bunch of swamps in your deck, the card gets worse, I think, because it's less likely to get played early. Same like
Yeah, like
Draftna. Like, if blue is like, your third color, Draftna is good with 2, 3 islands in play. With one island in
it's
play,
good.
it's a lot more fair.
I would definitely look at draft as like a double blue card, even if it has one pip in its name.
Oh, yeah, yeah. You want as much blue mana as you can get your hands on with that.
Especially since it's not a tap effect. Yeah.
Yeah, the second ability is the tap effect, the copying, but still, like returning multiple like of these little card draw artifacts and stuff could be good.
So, correct me if I'm. No, okay, so it would lose hit. Never mind. I was thinking couldn't even attack all there, but no, he would have lost haste if he moved the boots.
No, don't think he could have attacked there. So Tony has, he's stabilized for the time being while his angel is here, but Chris is threatening to get a lot of value out of Draftna. Um, but at 7 life, Tony might be able to find some combination of cards to get his life total down before he can start getting all the value from Draftna, but he doesn't have those cards yet. He's got a scrapwork cohort.
Okay.
He drew a hostile negotiations for turn, which he will not be casting unless he gains some life, because it'll make him lose 3 life. It's one of those it's like one of those fact or fiction style of fun cards there.
The very rare Howling Mine has just shown up in Face Beer's hand.
Okay.
He's got still holding on to the Diabolic Intent, and he's got that Latinam Adept, the 4 mana gain a counter when you double draw a turn.
Yeah. Yeah, Howling Mind's another card that I think goes in very specific decks.
Very specific decks. Yeah.
I know in a draft my opponent played it, and the next turn I played Trench Stalker, which just gave me a free trigger on every turn, and then eventually my opponent
Yeah.
sacked it to a Power Stone Fracture because it was giving me
Abort.
free
Yeah.
card draw.
They must change the plan. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are some decks where as long as you're making use of that extra card efficiently, like more efficiently than your opponent, then
It's
it's
hard.
good.
It's hard
But
to run.
especially when your opponent gets the first crack at the card, the extra card.
I have seen some cute stuff with that one green elf that
Yeah,
like
the
taps from
stalwart.
artifacts,
Yeah,
but
yeah, the stalwart that can tap it.
you
Yeah,
do need both of them for it.
yeah. There's some fun stuff you can do with that little stalwart too. I have it right now in a deck with a key to the city, so you could tap it and the key to the city to pay for the 2 mana to draw a card, to pay for one of the 2 mana to draw a card
Oh,
from the key to the city.
very cool
Yeah,
response by Tony there.
yeah.
Disenchanting on response to the
Yeah,
trigger
very
there.
well done. Yeah, no, he can't have that coming and wiping out his board, particularly the Angel of Sanctions. Um, if
He's
that
going
comes
to.
down and wipes out the board, he loses immediately.
That's right. He's electing to go, explore into these mines.
All right, he can't copy it, but that might not be a bad thing. Yes, the other card that can tap your Howling Mine is if you're lucky enough to have a Saheeli in play, you can tap your Howling Mine and draw 3 cards a turn.
You're giving me ideas. I'm going to
Good.
slam that Howling Mine in my next deck.
Good, good. As long as you have Saheeli, you draw 3 a turn. So here's the Boulder Branch Golem. This is really important. This is giving him a life. This is padding his
Oh,
life
wow.
total a bit. And he gets to attack because Chris's creatures are not large.
Yeah.
So, this has been a nice little turn here. This is a good draw, the Golem.
Okay. He is now drowning in islands, picking up 2 off the top. So
Yeah,
no
okay. So
additional help.
that's good for Draftnet. But now that Tony has turned it around, this Howling Mine might end up being a hindrance more than it is going to be a
Yeah.
help. When he's ahead and trying to get the game done, you know, let, let's fuel up and get some extra cards. But it only took a couple cards, the Disenchant followed by the Boulder Branch Golem, to really turn this game around. So there's a Latinam Adept, which gets a counter every turn for free. So that's something. But that's
No
Ooh,
No
okay.
instant speed response on Facebeard though, so he's
So
sort of at the mercy of tuning.
does Chris have a valuable creature artifact in his hand here?
He has exactly Diabolic Intent and an island.
Okay. So this Dream of Steel and Oil isn't going to
Ooh,
do much, but now he's got the 4 mana
yeah,
for this Hum of the Host that's been in his starting hand, and he could start making angels here.
that's going to be all she wrote, I think.
Yeah, this is gonna be a lot to come back from now. Um, yeah, this is one game that is being potentially decided by bombs here. Uncopied Angel of Sanctions every turn. This could be a rough one because
The first of the kind we've had all night, really.
the thing is that the Drafna will still be protected because uh, if he targets the Swiftfoot Boots, he can just bounce the Swiftfoot Boots. But here's all the flying here for lethal. So very, very, very quick turnaround there. The disenchant into the gain 6 life and turn the
Yeah,
game around. And then
that
Tony used the Howling Mine to benefit him to close the game out as fast as possible, drawing extra lands to play the Helm and equip it in one shot, so the opponent doesn't have a turn to readjust. Like that's one of the downsides of Helm of the Host. Like often you play it, and then your opponent has a window to react,
do something about
whether
it.
it's
Yeah.
kill the creature, kill the artifact. But there's the knowledge of it coming. So he dragged Unburden down, which was that mind rot with cycling I was mentioning, and then he immediately took it back out and submitted the deck. So he thought about it for less than a second.
We're doing some consideration here. It looks like he's taking out the Latinum Adept, adding in Counterspell and Urza's Rebuff.
Okay.
Um, Generally pretty impressed, though, with how Tony managed to recognize the time where he could shift the game back in his favor.
Yeah, well, Tony is no slouch. Definitely, he's a league winner here, so he knows what he's doing. It's been a couple leagues since we've seen him in the top 8, but yeah, he's been doing okay so far this league. So hope to see him back up at the top of the standings here.
Ooh,
And
let's
here's an Air Marshal. All right.
got a very competitive hand, though. He's going to be able to play Sky Strike Officer next turn into a
Oh.
Rager and Mightstone.
Okay, so unfortunately, I think Tony's just not super. Like he doesn't have too much removal here. Here's a bomb that might decide the game on turn 3. Okay,
Yeah.
so he's drawn a prison sentence,
Okay.
which is going to be good. So it stops the attack, but it also stops the passive ability or it stops the card draw ability as well. So
I mean, as far as bad Sky Strike Officers, that's not the worst.
yeah, so the
The-
problem is that he doesn't have a 4th land, and he's just going to be taking 3 here while
Mm,
Chris gets to keep developing the board. So
yeah,
he's
Chris
gonna
is.
try a swamp on top that'll allow him to cast a 4/4 next turn. So
Oh no,
what's the
he
rest of
just
Chris's
picked up
hand?
a static net. He
Oh
just picked
no!
up a static net, so he could play it to get rid of the. He's selecting not to.
All right.
Additionally, in addition to the Mightstone, he's got an Overwhelming Remorse and a Stern Lesson. So we got a lot of fuel for the next one.
So card draw and removal.
Yeah,
No threats yet, I guess. But the Skystrike Officer is a threat in waiting if he wants to static net the prison sentence, which, as I discussed last week in the feature match, makes no sense flavor wise. Have you put an
just
entire prison sentence into a net? That's
throwing the net into jail. That's funny.
yeah.
Or other way around. Yeah.
Okay, so he's being pretty aggressive here with his
Okay,
overwhelming
looks like
remorse.
he's.
I think this sounds like it seems like it's going to be the turn where he's going to start attacking again with the officer. Yeah.
Yeah, he's electing to do it with the net here.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, last week we had static nets removing static nets. We had static nets removing prison sentences. It was static nets for everyone.
This is brutal for Tony.
Yeah. So he's got the disenchant here. So he's going to
Oh my gosh.
return the favor right back here.
Uh,
Boom, scry 2. Hopefully. Okay, so he's probably going to keep a plains on top here. Oh no, he's going to put plains on the bottom. Okay. Yeah, because he does have his 5th land here. He does have in his hand Avon of Enduring Hope, which was from Amonkhet. And it's a 5-mana 3/3 flyer that gains 3 life. So he'll get a nice little buffer.
okay.
He'll get a nice little life buffer here with the Avon. So here's a Stern Lesson coming down.
Okay. So he picked up a Urza's Rebuff, which is currently uncastable at 1 double blue, and then a Deadly Riposte, which requires something from Tony's to be tapped.
Yeah. So here's the Aven. This is going to give him a nice little life buffer. He has an Emergency Weld in his hand, a Scrapwork Cohort,
Yeah,
and a Psychosis Crawler. So he has some hits. He has some things to do here. And with
just
this
like
guy's
that, he's okay.
with the Officer in prison, it can't draw cards either. So it's completely shut
Uh,
down.
the immortal question: to mine or not to mine? As Tony or his face beard
Oh.
picks up a Howling Knight in the hand.
Um. Well, if you have an Urza's Rebuff in hand that you can't cast, I think you probably want to Howling Mine.
I
But
mean,
with
you're sort of forced to, yeah.
But with Tony having a Psychosis Crawler, that might not be the best thing.
Oh,
Okay, so Tony's done a Trench Stalker here, which Chris might
oh
be.
my gosh.
This might be a moment of slight regret here.
Yeah, this is going to be the poster child for maybe I don't want to put this card in my deck
I
for
think
all the other
I think
viewers.
this was the exact scenario I just described that I benefited from a few days ago in a draft. Our opponent's just like, oh, why did I do that?
Oh, this is so brutal for Facebeard now.
Yeah,
Although he does have the riposte if he likes to go
yeah,
in with the.
yeah. So he might just shove his Scrapwork Rager in the way and then deal the other three to it. Um, so of note, Tony has a very interesting card here in his hand.
Mhm.
Not too much to do with it right now, but pretty interesting tech in this set. It's a card called Scarab Feast from Amon Ket.
Scarab Feast.
So it's one black mana for an instant. You can exile 3 cards from a graveyard, and you can cycle it for I believe a black mana.
Oh, okay. I
So it's
like cards that have niche effects with cycling, yeah.
yeah, kind of a cool little thing against people that are going heavy on Unearth. So here's a Psychosis Crawler. So add this to the list of
Oh,
things you don't
gosh.
want to see across the table when you cast your Howling Mine.
It just keeps getting worse.
So yeah, this thing is going to get +2 and deal 2 damage every turn.
Oh, man.
So
I mean, at the very least, he did pick up some ammo. He's got a Warlord Elite here
okay.
and an Aeronaut Cavalry.
All right, so the flying creature is going to be okay here against the 3/3.
Looks like he's going to elect a double spell with the Rager.
Okay,
Or I would assume.
I think he. Okay, oh yeah, you always have to pay 3 regular mana for the Warlord's Elite. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So he can't cast the 5-drop Cavalry. But
No,
I
currently.
think this game is might spiral a bit out of control here.
I mean, he does have a target engraved for this No One Left Behind, so I guess he's electing to just hold on to Rager for the time being.
Okay, interesting. He doesn't have any instants.
No. I mean, he's got the rebuff that's, yeah, he can't cast it yet.
So he tapped the Howling Mine with the Warlord's Lead, which
Ah!
that's another use for it. If you play
Okay.
Warlord's Lead every single turn for the rest of the game, your opponent doesn't draw an extra card. So cool. I like it. I approve. So the Trench Stalker's coming back out here is to cause a bit more misery here.
Yikes, yikes, yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, he's picked up the double blue now. Oh, and another bomb in the form of Platoon Dispenser, which he's going to just slam straight
That's
away.
a really good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, in order to really benefit from Howling, you have to have some way to break the symmetry. Whether it's, you already have a deep control over the game, or you can, do the tap thing, which is, pretty niche. Yeah, the chance that your opponent might use the card draw, against you is pretty high.
Pretty likely.
Like,
Yeah.
I know I'm, probably a bit safer player than a lot of people, but, the risk of what an opponent can do with a Howling Mine scares me.
Oh, for sure.
So, I probably won't be playing it in this format.
I mean, if you think about it, you are spending a card, and your opponent's getting the first draw, so you're technically minusing yourself just by playing it outright.
It's one of those cards that there is a percentage of time when it's correct to play it, but that number is low enough that I will just say I'm not going to play it. Like, maybe there's like 5% of the time I'm supposed to play it when I have it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, like,
any...
okay, if I'm losing out, if I'm missing out on an opportunity to play it in the right spot by just completely ignoring it, so be it. Yeah.
So I'm curious, does Tony have any tricks on his end there? Was a double block safe for Facebeard?
He's got a disenchant.
So he could have gone for the double block with
Yeah,
the
he could
warlords.
he
I
could
think.
disenchant the platoon dispenser at any point here. He probably will do that before Chris gets a card from it next turn. Looks like he's considering what to do here. He's gonna decide on scrapwork cohort and leave up the disenchant.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to spend the excess mana, making it 1/1.
Yeah, so I could see I could see him disenchanting the platoon dispenser and then using his Scarab Feast to exile both of the unearthed creatures from the graveyard.
Ooh, he's at instant speed.
Yeah, the Scarab Feast is, but now that it's Chris's main phase, the Scarab Feast won't work.
Can you not respond to the unearth with the instant speed effect?
Oh, I get. Does it remove it from the graveyard right away?
I think so. No,
Okay.
I think it goes on the stack.
Okay.
If I'm correct. So he could do it in response, which
Okay.
makes it actually a much better tech than I thought.
Okay. Pretty good. But here's another rare. So we're just seeing the rares coming down
So
on
many
every
rares.
side.
Yeah.
Steel Seraph here.
I mean, at least this rare fest feels a lot more balanced than it has been in the other games we had tonight.
Yeah, this is definitely the most competitive back and forth game we've seen, and it looks like it's going to keep going back and forth here because no one player is pulling super ahead. So this Steel Seraph is going to give possibly Chris the advantage now. I mean, Tony has a flyer, but it's just a 3/3.
Choose to keep vigilance. Let's see if he decides to follow through with the swing.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be a good attack here. He could just block with Cohort and a 1/1. He's not a Boulder Branch Golem to gain some more life here.
He did pick up an ambush paratrooper, so it looks like he's electing to hold that up with rebuff currently, as opposed to playing out the cavalry.
Yeah, so he doesn't have enough to activate it now. Okay, so he's going to attack with his 2 big creatures here. Force some blocks.
Pressure.
Let's see what Chris decides to do. He has some options, I guess. Yeah, Paratrooper. Okay, so he's going to Remorse the Steel Seraph, and that is likely to draw the counterspell here. Yeah, that's going to draw the counterspell. Makes sense.
Which notably also does make Psychosis go down.
Yeah, so pretty good exchange there. Okay, so he's going to... He's going to give up the Seraph here.
That's a very... that's his lifelink, quite literally.
Yeah, does he have a reanimate or something in his hand?
He does have no one left behind.
Oh, okay, that makes a bit more sense then. But this Scarab Feast,
I can't. It's gonna be such an amazing blow. It's very cool seeing tech cards go off like this.
If this Scarab Feast actually counters a spell and removes 2 unearth,
brutal.
This might very well be the stuff of legends here.
Also, he has an emergency well in hand.
Tony is fervently moving his Scarab Feast around. Yeah. Oh boy. This is a bad.
You'd never
beat story.
expect this, huh?
This is a bad beat story for you if there ever was one.
Especially since it's not even a card in the set.
What an amazing turn of events here! Wow.
Gosh, that's crazy.
That's like a 3-for-1.
I mean, yeah, those cards.
I've never seen a better Scarab Feast to be cast. I'm certain of that.
I mean, that's probably the best tech I've seen in a while.
Yeah, no, that is great.
Props to Tony for
Chris is now wondering what is there to do.
Yeah, the silent stun on his end was
because those 2 unearthed creatures. I mean, yes, they go away, but they each represent a card draw, right? The Rager draws a card, the Dispenser draws a card. So those are real things. It's not just like a creature that comes back and just attacks. It's cards. It's resources.
Yeah, those cards were effectively in his hand, and he just took them away with 1 black man.
Took away all those resources. So that's this will probably go down in the hall of memorable feature match moments. This Scarab Feast heard around the world.
I did sense a little moment of hesitation as he played the welding scrap there.
Yeah, I think Chris is possibly feels a bit deflated after that. Because, like, he had a game plan there. Get back his Seraph, get some value, draw some cards, find a
Oh, I
way,
feel super
to
comfortable
win
if I'm in
here.
his position there. Yeah.
But yeah, that was deflating. That was game breaking. And that's one little unassuming black instant that almost never got played. Changes the tide of the game.
That being said, it still looks like we're relatively pretty
Yeah,
even.
this is still kind of a board stall, and this ambush paratrooper might make things annoying. Um,
We've picked
for
up
Tony.
a Union of the Third Path, which is the 3-mana white card that draws and gives
Oh,
life
okay.
based on card remaining. We have a Lauren's Escape and a Recommission, which unfortunately
Doesn't
has
have
no
targets right now.
targets.
Yeah.
What's in Tony's hand right now?
He has a swamp and he has Loran's Escape to protect
Okay.
these guys. So they both have escape. The Loran's Escape. All right. He has a flying attack here, but just for 3. He's not able to attack yet with his wing commando.
Yeah, I think
Um,
he's being suitably cautious.
yeah, I mean, he could have tried to attack a bit more in the air. He does have the pump on board, but one removal spell can spell disaster in that case. So Tony's going to make some attacks here. 4/5 Trench Stalker, uh, you know, being enabled by this Howling Mine, and the
Also,
6/5 here.
he can activate Paratrooper twice here, which is really, really
4,
strong.
7, 10. Yeah, that is how it is.
Wonder if he recognizes it because it
Okay,
looks
so
like currently he's
he's gonna
just
get yeah he wants to get rid of this Trench Stalker ASAP, and this Loran's Escape is going to keep it alive.
yeah.
We'll see if Chris decides he wants to keep his 4/4. Yeah, I guess he kind of feels he has to keep this 4/4 alive to save face, even though it's maybe not the creature he wanted to use it on. It's the creature he has to use it on here. Oh, okay. Wow. Well,
What does your player have?
Chris is going to be even more unhappy about the Howling Mine here, as the card he has left on top is the Gixian Puppeteer, the
Oh
rare
my!
that will kill him very quickly with the drain
Oh
2
man!
every time you draw your second card. So
I mean, he does. He did top a response as well. He does. He does have minimus containment on the top of his deck currently.
uh, yeah, hopefully this video might serve as a public service announcement for those looking to play Howling Mine from time to time.
Curious what we are deck size wise. I feel like we've
31 to 26 here is what.
gotcha.
I think Tony may have read your mind and just scanned to see what's the status of the deck sizes.
Ah, great minds think alike. I see.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, he does not know, of course, that that's the card on top of his deck, and he's using minimus containment right now to deal with this.
Yeah, that minimus containment could have been. Yeah, I mean, he has to deal with the present threat. He can't know what's on top. I mean, he knows that he did scry on top, but he doesn't know the level the level of card that is there.
And doesn't the puppeteer have a secondary effect when it dies as well?
Yeah, it dies. It'll reanimate a creature with 3 mana cost or less.
Very good card.
So here's a puppeteer. He's drawn a levitating statue, which is not going to do anything for the time
For a
being.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is a great back and forth game. This game makes up for some of the
Yeah,
one-sided
short
games
the other ones
we
were.
saw earlier. So we are getting our money's worth here, absolutely, with this.
I mean, it's crazy how much Howling Mine has skewed this entire match.
Yeah, like I said, yeah. Here's another. Yeah, and I mean, like, to be honest, most of Tony's cards were not drawing any cards, so would not have been triggering his Psychosis Crawler any further. The Trench Stalker would not be getting Death Touch and Lifelink as much. He had a couple cards that drew, but not every turn.
Ooh, 2 really good cards here.
Okay.
And we have, I mean, he's going to play it for you guys right now, but
Okay.
it's the Tactician.
Yeah. Tactician here pumping everything.
Wow. Yeah. Unfortunately, because of that Scarab, we have 2 graveyard-focused spells that just can't be cast currently.
Okay, so what is he? Oh, he has the Recommission, and what was the other one?
And an Emergency Weld.
Okay, and he just has no creatures. Okay, to put in the graveyard.
Yeah. I think he's recognizing I gotta go because this puppeteer's gonna kill me.
Yeah, well, Yeah, Chris has like is representing a lot of air damage here, but you know, it would be at the expense of tapping his creatures and not leaving back too many things. All right, so
Yeah, this is looking pretty
nothing too
dangerous.
interesting drawn here from Tony. He has two swamps and then he's drawn a phalanx vanguard, so just a little 2/2 here. So I think Chris needs to maybe be a bit more aggressive with his flying attacks.
Oh,
Maybe send one other, but Tony can just send with a lot of creatures. Hall of Storm Giants.
yeah,
That's
that's a card that's also not understood.
that's one you don't see every day. Yeah, so that's the land that you can pay 6 to turn into a 7/7 with Ward 3, Ward 2, something like that.
I mean, a great insurance against these big creatures
Okay,
on
so
Tony's side
Thraxodemon
of the.
can sack the Howling Mine finally.
It can sack the Howling Mine, but it can
Yeah.
also sacrifice the officer, which you can get back.
Yeah, and he can start drawing cards. All right. And
I mean, he also needs to stop getting drained to death.
Tony's only drawing lands here, so I think first priority is to get rid of possibly the Howling Mine, and then start doing other
Yeah.
stuff with the Thraxodemon. So this Thraxodemon might actually come in clutch here with Tony just drawing. 3 of his last 4 draws were lands, and the fourth and the other one was the 2/2 Vanguard, which is not really having an effect on anything.
Oh,
So
man, he keeps trying. We have now we have Harbin in hand.
okay, so Harbin can almost win the game in one shot, right?
I know he does something with soldiers. I just don't remember the rest of the
I
text.
believe it's when 5 soldiers attack, they all get +1/+1 in flying, which would actually
Oh,
almost end the game.
they are all soldiers. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so I think that's what it does. I don't. I'm not sure if it has to attack or not. But I know when 5 soldiers attack, it pumps everything and gives it flying. But again, not sure if it's triggers on it attacking or
He's
any
not letting
5
me see it.
soldiers. So
I'm gonna have to type it in myself.
yeah, but I think Chris might be doing some math here. But I mean, with Tony having 3 cards in hand, you know,
So it
it's a
actually
risky
just gives
proposition.
all creatures 1/1 and flying when you attack with 5 or more. Yeah,
When you attack with 5 or more soldiers, right?
yeah. All your creatures get it.
Yeah. Well, he only has one other potential attacker in the Thraxodemon, but all right. So he's
He's done. We're no more.
he's done with the mine. He's
Which is very funny because he picked up the other answer to the mine, which is Draft Nut, which could have bounced it.
oh, Draftman, sure, okay, that's another interesting one. Yeah, so rares on rares here.
How many? I wonder if we can count them.
I would have already if I'm trying to track every rare mythic that's been cast this game. It's
Yeah.
it's getting
Eight.
it's a big number.
Oh man, 18 cards left.
Yeah, there's a lot of digging you can do in this format, like self mill, drawing cards. But this is quite the board stall. So he's gonna keep Harbin as a surprise here, I think.
That makes sense. Yeah, he doesn't have to let it be on the field for a turn to activate
Yeah,
its
so
effect.
next turn he could play it, attack with 7 creatures. They all get +1/+1 flying, and he has the Paratrooper ability. That's probably got to be enough with only 1 flying blocker here. I mean, he doesn't know that Tony only has 3 lands in hand, and he's drawn a Burnish Heart for turn, which also does nothing. Um,
Technically
of
two with
note,
the
Tony
statue,
has
but
2.
yeah,
Yeah, he has the statue here, which
still it's
can
likely to be enough damage.
yeah. Chris has got to do some math. Math is for blockers does not apply here. I think he has to figure out if it's got to be lethal though. We've got it.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. He just got
For
in the trenches.
oh, that will that's likely to potentially end the game on the spot. So Tony, I can't imagine that he has a card. I mean, he knows Harbin's in the deck, so if he knows exactly what Harbin does, maybe he's tracking in his mind that's the card that can end the game on the spot. But otherwise, I don't think he's feeling like he's gonna lose on the spot here.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Chris is
be
probably doing
seeing
some
this.
quick math here. So if you, yeah, so so that's gonna give a
Oh
prowess
man,
even. So now he can play Harbin. He can even exile the Aven if he wishes.
that's right. Yeah, this is
And then that's definitely lethal. Everything has flying and +1/+1, and only one thing can be blocked. Because he has enough mana, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so he has enough mana to play Harbin and exile something. So yeah, rares and mythics.
Let's see if he follows through. I think because he's playing exceptionally cautious. I think he's just thinking to himself, "How can I lose this game?"
Yeah, it's just like Tony's attacks are like quite bad. Like all of his creatures, like none of his creatures do anything in combat. Like none of them have combat
Yeah.
abilities except for the flying creature. Like I mean, Tony does have 2 cards in hand, so that is scary. But uh, you know, he's taking his time here. He's calculating. He's figuring out if he can do the all-out attack or what he can win with or what he needs to play around as well. Because he eventually has it's almost like a sealed deal right in his hand. He says, when I can do it safely, I will just win in one swing, and he's decided it's not going to be this turn. All right, another land here
Much
for
easier for
Tony.
us to make the call, as the spectators. But
Yeah,
yeah, in their situations, it's a
yeah. I
very
mean,
tough call to make.
I know Tony has 3 lands in hand, but as far as Chris is concerned, it could be 2 instant speed removals, in which case his plan might not work out. Again, but like the fact that all of his creatures are pumped, some of them are pumped twice, and they're all gonna have flying. Like, yeah,
Yeah, I wonder what extra insurance Face Beard is looking for here.
yeah. What exactly? Maybe like something that gains life would make him like more comfortable.
I mean, he did pick up Deadly Riposte, which is,
Okay, I don't.
technically gives life.
Yeah, I don't know when and how any of Tony's creatures are gonna end up tapped here, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Yeah, what an interesting game. Just we had the Scarab Feast that will go down in memory forever. And then we had this Howling Mine that was turning the tide towards Tony as well, and then series of good plays here in the trenches. But okay, so he's gonna start making inroads here
Okay.
in the life total finally. His
Take
life
some
total
baby
his life
steps.
total is not under pressure anymore from the puppeteer because the Howling
He
Mine
probably
is.
feels extra secure because of that Deadly Riposte he picked up.
Yeah. All right, so
I mean,
Scrapwork
yeah, this
Rager.
is
All right, so Tony gets to see an extra card here.
okay. That also triggers Puppeteer, which,
Yeah.
is nothing.
All right. Oh. Urza's Silex has been drawn. Who wants to restart the
Oh
game?
my
Who wants to
god.
restart the game with sub 20 cards in their deck?
Looks like this hesitation from
I think
Facebeard
Urza
might.
Silex will probably lose Tony the game because Chris gets to keep his land that turns into a 7/7.
Uh, it would require all in mana, but yeah, no, I mean, that's.
And so
Oh,
he's gonna attack all, and then he's gonna board wipe after. It looks like. So
okay.
looks like he's
Oh,
decided he's gonna board wipe. Here's a Deadly Right Post. That's gonna reanimate something that's gonna get wiped up in the board wipe.
maybe if I'm
Oh,
Tony, I don't
he had
swing.
nothing. He had nothing to
Oh, yeah,
reanimate
nothing.
actually.
Okay, okay, okay.
All right, so this.
Does he have enough mana to exile the. No, because you can just respond to Silex instant speed anyway.
I believe Silex is activated as a sorcery, but I'm not 100% certain.
So I guess when it comes out, he won't lose priority, so he can't respond to
Yeah,
him
he'd have
playing
to
it
do
with
it immediately because if he takes any other action, then. But
Trenches can
he no
exile.
longer. Oh no, he has the mana to. There's so many lands in play here. Yeah, it's only as a
Okay.
sorcery. So it's 3 to play and then 2 white to use. So he's going to take that route here, and
Oh, and because he animated the hall, he's not gonna have hall anymore.
no, Hall is still a land.
Oh, does it say non-land permanents? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it's you keep 6 lands and everything else goes away. So that
Ah,
will be one of the
gotcha.
6 lands he will keep, most certainly.
Okay.
And so here's the pump. Yeah, this is all. Yeah. So if Chris is probably reading this as like some sort of a board clear because he just like
Tony does need to be
threw all of
careful
his
here.
creatures here.
He needs to make sure to sacrifice the treasure, or else he'll get back a 4/5. Oh,
No,
that'll just go away.
that'll just go away too. He will get to
Okay.
draw a card from the Wellspring though.
Sure.
But this Hall of the Storm Giants, I mean, when Chris gets one more land, it can be activated again. Because right now he can't attack with it, but he's just one land away.
Gosh, what a game.
This is about the most back and forth, one of the most back and forth games we've seen in future matches. Period. We had
I mean,
a
yeah,
last week we had a particularly fascinating death match between Ryan D and Andrew A that just went back and forth and all sorts of wild board states with cards that were not from Dominaria United. But yeah, this is quite something. So, yeah, so he's gonna draw a card here.
and my heart is in my chest if I am either of these players.
Yeah, but I do think um, the thing is that Tony has these scrapper cohorts that can just attack in, right? These
Yeah,
they've been unearthed, or they can become unearthed, and he has exactly 6 lands, which is enough. So what's Chris holding in hand here? You said
he
recommission.
does have a lot of graveyard recursion in the form of recommission and emergency will,
Okay.
and the Harbin as well. That being said, he's at the mercy of his mana now.
Does he have a land here?
He does have a land, yeah, planes in
Okay.
it.
So he might just yeah. So he has to defend himself because there are now three unearthed creatures. I mean, Tony can only cast 2 of them in the next turn, but could be a rough go here. This is
We're seeing,
yeah, the
we're
Silex thing
seeing
done.
the
So recommission on
return.
the Sky Strike. Okay,
Oh man,
it's a 3/4 flyer. So and he's likely to cast something else here.
that is Yoshin Tactician. Yeah, he's gonna go for that one.
He's gonna weld back the Tactician, and then he could play his Harbin here as well, right?
I don't see any reason not to, but it looks like he's going to pass the turn.
Yeah, I mean, so we know that because Tony was only holding lands, Chris could have played his Harbin and attacked for lethal. Um,
Yeah. Oh, so he's maybe still holding it.
but I don't know if that's like a realistic outcome anymore of just
Yeah.
like attacking with 5 things. So he's gonna take a bunch of game actions here. He's gonna unearth his cohort for lack of better things to do.
Also, Harbin would have allowed him to tap 3 to draw a card there if he really needed it.
Yes, maybe he's trying to bluff an instant. Not sure, but he basically he unearthed his
Oh
creatures.
man,
He's drawn a recruitment officer, which can help him dig for more things to do here. All right, so here's the tactician.
he drew a power, so he has some protection as well.
Sorry, it just cut out there for a second. What was the
Oh,
part you
he
said?
drew a power stone fracture.
Okay, it cut out again.
Oh, power stone fracture. He's
Oh,
got
power
the.
stone fracture. Okay. Okay, so um, yeah, Tony has a recruitment officer. He might see fit to get rid of that, just to deny him the ability to dig. So it's 12 cards versus 16 in the library. Chris has 12. Tony has 16. Based on the board state, I don't think it's going to come down to decking here.
Yeah.
Um,
Swiftfoot boots in hand.
okay, Swift
For
Boots in Hand is going to even make this go quicker if he puts it on Harbin. That's just, you know. Yeah. So he can't quite get the 5 soldiers attacking, but he can just put his opponent to 2 here. And then he can draw a card as well. He has 3 soldiers. So here is the Silex. I mean, with the size of the creatures that Chris had, you know, he kind of had to do that. But
sure.
okay, so
What is this?
he's falling on his sword
Oh,
here.
okay, okay.
He understands that the game is over, unfortunately. And look at all these. Look at all these sweet cards he found. But unfortunately, he's going to die before he can play any of them. But
At
yeah,
least we'll
the
get a
other
big
Silex,
peek.
I think he felt forced to use it just because the board was spiraling out of control for Chris. Like it was just his creatures were getting pumped by 2, most of them, and his aside from a 6/5, all of his creatures were quite small. Um, but unfortunately, because nobody was engaging in combat, and Chris's creatures were not dying, he had those recursion spells just stranded in his hand until everything died, and he could get back the two best. So it just sort of
Yeah.
worked out that those recursion spells came in handy while previously they were rotting in hand. And Chris pulls that one out. What a game! Again, this is one for the ages. This is I'll remember this one. At the end of the league, this will be
Incredible
etched in
set.
my memory. Very, very fun, exciting back and forth game. Thank you to both players, and congratulations to Chris for pulling that one out. And
Yeah,
that's our
props to
feature
both
matches
players for
for
a really
week
close, interesting
2.
game.